Hello everyone, welcome back to Touch the Fire Twice. I'm Joshua and I'm here today to do a brand introduction, haul, and post-burn review on Emme Essentials candles. We'll get into this in a second, but first, if you are new here, welcome. The mission here at Touch the Fire Twice is to share my love and passion for home fragrance as an enthusiast, an educator, a reviewer, to inspire you to increase your own fragrance knowledge and understanding, ultimately enriching the scent memories that you create. And so to meet that mission, I do that a couple of ways here on YouTube. One is a traditional in-depth sniff candle review. Sniff a candle, break apart the notes, talk about the wicks, the wax, the performance, strength, throw, projection, the actual fragrance blend itself, top, middle, bottom notes, dig deep into them, learn with you about them, and give you my overall assessment. Sometimes I take it a step further and do an in-depth sniff comparison review where I do all of that and then compare it to other candles, fragrances you may know, sometimes an actual fruit or liqueur, to give you a sense of truly what it smells like, not just what I think of it, but so you can kind of build that fragrance in your mind's eye or your mind's nose to really understand if it's something you may be interested in. And I also do your traditional hauls, collective hauls, first impressions, as well as brand introductions, because I'm on my own fragrance journey here where I'm exploring many different brands from your traditional mass market, your masstige, your mid, your upscale, your upmarket, your luxury, across the spectrum to understand really the world of home fragrance, which is truly explosive in 2022. And so I'm doing brand introductions where I find a brand that is new to me. I explore to understand kind of their mission, their purpose, who they are, and the types of things that they're bringing to market. And so I'm really excited today to do a brand introduction and haul and post-burn overview of Emme Essentials, a new to me and actually kind of almost new to everyone brand because it was just launched in 2020. The haul I'll be doing is 10 of these 4-ounce mini tin candles, which I have done burns on 6 of the 10, so I can give you sort of the post-burn, my impression on the burn, go quickly through my overview and impression of some of the performance and the notes, whether I've burned or not yet burned them. Can talk briefly about the notes, but happy to also offer my more traditional in-depth sniff candle review on any specific candles from this collection that you want to hear more about. There are a few that I really love and are super unique. Spoiler. So I may be doing those reviews anyhow in separate videos, but certainly let me know if there are ones you want to know about. But first, let's dig a bit into Emme Essentials and the brand and who they are. They describe themselves as a luxury soy candle collection inspired by Asian flavors, hand-poured in NYC, toxin, paraben, and phthalate free. And we'll just read this description here together because I do love the story here, the brand story. So Emme Essentials was founded in 2020 in the midst of the pandemic. Shortly after moving across the country with their families, Asian American couple Mark and Erica found solace in burning candles, but found themselves wishing there were familiar scents that would remind them of home and their Asian heritage. Seeing an opportunity to share their cultures with the rest of the world and bring comfort to others feeling homesick, Emme Essentials was born. Hand-poured in micro batches in New York City, Emme Essentials is a collection of luxury candles dedicated to traditional Asian flavors. So certainly they saw that white space in the market and they jumped into it, and they really have gone after something in such a really special, unique, and I'm happy to say quite authentically fragranced way. They are super active on TikTok. They have tons of followers there. They also are on Instagram, Facebook, the traditional socials. What I find interesting is the branding is fairly simple. They really let the candles and the fragrances and the scent memories that they're meant to evoke speak for themselves. Some of the brand's identity is also tied closely to the founders themselves, really their entrepreneurial spirit and giving their behind-the-scene view of how do they create a candle collection when they started as a co-founders company of 2, and how do they get a space in New York City and do these, as they say, micro batch hand pours, not a large operation, though based on quality, I wouldn't be surprised if they grow exponentially in coming years. But so it's nice to see sort of the true behind the scenes of how they do it, and you can really see the passion that comes through there. A lot of home fragrance brands do offer that sort of connection to the founder if they're still with the brand or with the business. And I think they're, most often fragrance lovers, if not the nose themselves, even for their fragrances. And as fragrance enthusiasts, I think that we really I connect a lot with that, because it's not just, your mass market, your whatever it might be, though there is a place for those, but it's also someone's vision and passion. And when a business is born out of a true passion, that really creates sometimes the best experience for everyone involved. So, talking about their candles, they do just candles, at least right now. They do a primarily soy, bit of, I believe, coconut wax blend, but a soy wax blend. They do wood wicks exclusively. Wood wicks can be a bit polarizing. Sometimes some people hate, some people love. I found them to work very well with these, so I'm in team okay with them. They offer two sizes. Of course, the 4-ounce metal tin here that you see, with, of course, the wood wick right in there. These retail for $15 and have about a 15-hour burn. And they also offer a more traditional, bit larger 8.5-ounce candle in a glass vessel that has a burn time of about 60 to 80 hours and has a retail of $33. They do offer some gift sets, usually about a 5% discount or so, and then promotions as well on their website. Sold primarily through the website, though they are also starting to do some pop-ups with the Mochi store in New York City specifically, which is very cool to see. They have about 25 cents available on their website right now. They have what I believe is sort of a core collection, a grouping of scents in some different categories, as well as seasonal releases. And then looking through their Instagram, looks like last fall they had a pumpkin persimmon and golden pear. So excited to see what they're going to bring out in the next couple of months for another fall seasonal collection, most likely. All that to say, really interesting fragrance blends that really you don't find many other places. Maybe some wax vendor companies offer some unique or less common fragrances. And so when it comes to these really unique Asian-inspired flavors, scents, memories, concepts, I love that they really are very cohesive, but they are a wide range of categories for whether you love your gourmands or you want fruity or you want fresh or woody or more conceptual. So let's dig right in. First up, we're gonna go with Drip Coffee. Notes on this one, it says espresso, condensed milk, and chicory, mood, bold, and smooth. You can see I did burn this one. I burned this a handful of times. The burn performance, I'll jump right into that before I get into the fragrance itself. Very solid across the board. Some of them pull out more quickly than others and have a bit more even, consistent burn, but none of them have a poor burn. I would say they're all good to some are great. Some of them pull out quickly, a nice healthy depth to the wax pull, and a surprisingly strong throw and projection. There are some that are lighter, some that are medium, but I will say there's a few of these that I was burning downstairs. Again, a 4-ounce woodwick candle, soy blend, that typically is gonna struggle. And it threw all the way, it wasn't knock you over strong, but the projection, it traveled through my home and up into the loft area. So I was really impressed with the ability to do that when there are some 4-wick candles out there that don't always do that today. So Drip Coffee. This is really lovely. I will tell you, this is really exactly what I want out of a coffee fragrance. It is roasted, it is strong. Chicory is sometimes added to cold brew coffees. It adds just a little bit of a nutty background nuance to it and a smoothness to the coffee. I could see that being here. And then they mentioned condensed milk. To me, not so much condensed milk, because this doesn't come off as sweet really at all. It's not like a sweetened condensed milk, but maybe an evaporated milk, so a concentrated milk. It is primarily that roasted coffee, and it's straightforward, and I really, really like this one. Great in the morning time. Keeping in line with the cafe, this is Boba. So of course, Boba, the tapioca pearls, boba milk tea, super, super popular, originated in Taiwan. Notes on this one, cheese foam, boba, and brown sugar, sweet and creamy as far as your mood. Also a nice burn on that. When I tell you this is so authentic. So a lot of times if you've had, either at fairs or at the mall or at standalone shops, if you've had boba, it's typically going to be a brewed tea or just a tea powder, and usually a milk powder that's a mixture of sugar and evaporated powdered milk, flavorings, all that good stuff, shakes up, and it's a really creamy iced tea with those usually sweetened tapioca boba balls. And this is so impressive to me because when I purchased, I thought, okay, boba, tapioca itself doesn't have much of a scent to it. There's not necessarily one flavor that all boba has, because you can get jasmine or oolong or sweetened with fruits. And they really nailed this. Perhaps it is the cheese foam, not really sure exactly how they're getting such an accurate scent on this, but it's that slightly sweetened, sometimes it's in, sugar, so it's almost like a simple syrup with the boba, so that's kind of your brown sugar, and then whatever powdered milk that they add to the tea typically, it just hits exactly right. It smells like the boba shop, it smells like it tastes, it's just so spot on with and a little, almost like a hint of a floral behind it, like you might get in like a jasmine tea or something. But it knocked me over with how authentic this really is boba. So many brands, you'll see something, if they had boba tea or whatever, you'd be like, okay, I guess it smells like that, but if you smelled it on its own, you wouldn't necessarily pick that out. It's more marketing. This one, someone who's familiar with boba, I feel like they could actually pick it out without being influenced by the name on the candle. So that's really impressive. Then we've got matcha. So of course, matcha, green tea leaves from Japan that are ground, the highest quality first harvesting of the green tea leaves, ground and literally stirred, made almost creamy and frothy into the hot water, and you actually ingest the leaves. It's not something where you brew the leaves and take them out. Love matcha. It's usually kind of bitter, astringent, but also brings a bit of a creaminess to it and just a really fresh, enriching, warming beverage. Notes on this one: matcha, honey, and cream, earthy and luscious mood. This is the first one I burned because I was most excited. I burned it the most, and it had perhaps the best throw. And you can see how clean that burn is because it is that soy blend. This is beautiful. So it's not as fresh cut, vegetation or grassy that I thought matcha may end up, but it is very clearly that matcha powder, a little bit sweetened. Again, they do say honey in here. I can definitely get a sweetness in that. And creamy, it's just, you can smell the froth on it. Sweetened, but not sweet necessarily. It's not overly sweet, so that's great. But it's not just the raw matcha powder. It really is the matcha beverage. Slightly floral because you're gonna get so many undertones in those tea leaves. Beautiful, beautiful matcha scent. Love that one. That one's definitely one that I will have to purchase in the full size. Then we go over to one other gourmand, ube. So ube is a purple yam, very similar, but different to what you may traditionally know as an orange sweet potato. This one has ube, vanilla bean, and sago. Sago is a starch similar to a tapioca, and this is unburned. So you can see there, that is the unburned wood wick, ready to go. This one also seems so incredibly authentic. It just is so impressive, especially for a small startup brand to have such authenticity. I could see other brands launching an Asian-inspired collection and throwing notes in where you're like, okay, this is not actually. I truly believe this to be authentic notes, which is just awesome to see. And you get some of that starchy sweetness like the potato-y, and ube is used in many desserts across the board and beverages. In fact, I believe you can even sometimes get ube as part of sort of in like boba shops and things like that when you have the purple. So there's a slight savoriness to this. Think of, when you have like a sweet potato pie where there's a savoriness to it because it is not something that is traditionally super, super sweet. And that's what this gives me. And the vanilla bean, the sago, I'm not sure what that brings to it because that's typically not scented, but there is something more to this that's a little bit tangy. It's not overly sweet. It's not your typical Americanized dessert in that sense, but a good vanilla cream in there. Really nice. That is a gourmand for those who don't necessarily think they like gourmands or don't want full-on dessert, blueberry cheesecake type desserts or gourmands. So really nice there. Let's move to the one really true fresh, and that is bamboo. Many fragrance houses have bamboo. It can be expressed in many different ways. Spa-like, super green, more vegetal, very floral with lotus and things thrown in. This one is bamboo, cucumber, and lily, fresh and clean. I've not burned this one yet either, though I love this one. This has a bit of like a sweet, almost honeysuckle undertone to it. Mild on the honeysuckle, but a little something there that is a sweetness. The bamboo is a fresh green, sort of, I definitely get the cucumber skin that they have there as well. So almost spa-like, but a little bit more of a floral to it. This would be a beautiful parfum or body fragrance, fine fragrance. The lily is that soft, sweet, slightly spicy floral. Just enough of that to add a little bit of additional layers to this. Interestingly enough, reminds me of back in high school, I wore a cologne that was from Banana Republic and it was called Classic. But this actually threw my mind right to that. So there was something in that. I looked at the notes actually for that, and it said herbal notes, bergamot, grapefruit, clementine, lilac, honeysuckle, ginger, white musk, and woods on base notes. And so this is not a duplicate, of course, of that, but certainly a bit of the lily, a bit of honeysuckle, that light white floral in the background. Love this. Very different than your fresh bamboos from Slacken & Co., from Homeworks, Bath & Body Works, things like that. Then two more florals we've got. Honey Jasmine. Notes on this one: jasmine, honey, and amber, rich and floral mood. I did burn this one as well. Took a little bit longer to pull out, a little bit of a cliff kind of lip on the edge there, but nothing that I don't expect to correct itself. And this, I really like this a lot more than I thought. Honey can be cloying, jasmine can be super heady, super sweet, intense, white, hot, sultry, seductive. This is, but it's balanced. It's slightly like a youthful jasmine. I wish I could remember more when it was burning because it's showing up different on cold than when I was burning it. I really enjoyed the depth that the amber brought. It wasn't overly heavy, but it had a little bit of that kind of woodsy seductiveness that you can get from an amber that has a bit of maybe vanilla or tonka and a little bit of musk to it. The honey is a sweet, sweet honey nectar. So like not a concentrated honey, but almost like the nectar from a honeysuckle sort of. Really lovely scent, unexpected. I purchased these, I failed to mention, as a set of 10. It's called the one of each candle tin gift set. They had a really great sale going on for their anniversary, and so I purchased the set of tins, 10 of their core collection, one of each. And I wouldn't have purchased this if I, on its own, most likely, but I'm glad that it came in this sort of sampler pack because it's very pretty and it shows sort of the angle they take for some of their florals. Followed up by Sakura, so you're thinking of your Japanese cherry blossom, which in itself doesn't always have its own fragrance. It's usually more conceptual of what people believe it evokes or makes you feel in the time of year and the regenerative tradition of the blossoms coming each year. Notes on this one, cherry blossom, hinoki, which we know is the Japanese cypress tree that is beloved for its strength as well as its healing properties and its calming, grounding nature, and bergamot, so you're bright, you're fresh, that kind of zippy, bitter orange. And this is so nice. This could be a body fragrance. It's bright. There's a bit of depth from that cypress, although it's just like a fresh part of the cypress. It's not overly heavy, resinous, doesn't overtake the fragrance. And a bit of a light, sweet kind of floral in there, not as heady and round and seductive as, say, your jasmine, but fresher, brighter, first early spring, pretty pink, the color of the label here. The hinoki, I wouldn't mind more of it just because I love sort of cypress and pines and things like that. But you don't want to be too heavy because this should be a delicate floral, as it's mentioned here, not something super heavy. But I do love that hinoki wood is in here as a wood that is very traditionally Japanese. Also just, again, a very pretty light floral. So if you're thinking the honey jasmine, rich, heady, seductive. When you get to the sakura, delicate, light, bright spring air. Okay, so we have 3 more to go. We've got lychee, pomelo, and mochi. So lychee, that is that fruit that is very soft. It has that pebbled texture, exterior you have to peel. It is very similar to sort of a grape, maybe a little bit of a floral behind it, kind of musky, maybe a little bit of watermelon to it. Tropical, really sweet, fruity, used in cocktails, used in a million things. I think a lot of folks are familiar with lychee. And this is lychee, red tea, and rock sugar, exotic and fruity. Burned this one as well. This one was taking a bit longer to pull out. You see it kind of drags on the sides there, but still had a healthy throw, which was nice. This is that musky sort of grape scent that you get from lychee. Undeniably lychee. The tea, for me, this is pretty much just the lychee. I suppose there is sweet, it is sweet. So whether that's the lychee or the rock sugar, whether there's red tea in here, hard to say. It's not overpowering, it's not artificial. You know, grape scents are often hard to do. This isn't grape, but it is reminiscent of a grape. This is very accurate lychee. And so if you want something fruity and bright and sweet, but not a traditional, you know, tropical fruit like a coconut, papaya, mango that you see in so much wax, the lychee is a really nice way to go. Then you have pomelo, so very similar to a grapefruit. Pomelo is tangerine, pomelo, and bergamot, so citrus blast here with mood of bright and citrus. I've not burned this one yet. To me, this is maybe the least exciting because a lot of brands have fragrances very similar to this. So for me, when I'm reviewing, a lot of times it's going to be about, of course, I will say this is authentic, but the uniqueness factor, this is less unique than any of the other scents here. You know, Nest has a really nice grapefruit. Homeworks has a grapefruit. Like Bath & Body Works, Lofco has a really nice grapefruit. And so for me, this wasn't a must-have in that sense, but it's really well executed. You've got the tanginess, a bit of floral undertones, some bitterness to it, tangerine, the grapefruit, pomelo, and the bergamot, so a little bit more sparkling with that bergamot, which is similar to sort of lime in some ways. So a well-rounded citrus, but a straightforward citrus nonetheless. And then finally, you've got mochi. I love mochi. Just the little chunks thrown in on top of a dessert, on top of some frozen yogurt, or the actual traditional mochi that has sometimes a filling, sort of a red bean paste, or maybe now ice cream or chocolate. It's just that sticky, sweet dough that is covered in rice flour that's just so, again, unmistakably mochi. And this mochi is milky and sweet. Notes are strawberry, rice flour, and sweet cream. So they're not going just straight mochi here, which would be a little bit difficult to do because in itself it doesn't have much of a scent. Flavor, yes, scent, not quite as much. So they went for strawberry here. Have not burned this one yet. This is really pretty. Strawberry is so hard to do in home fragrance in wax. It usually leans fairly inauthentic most of the time. Homeworks has a nice farm stand strawberry. And this reminds me of that strawberry in the sense that this is pretty authentic when it comes to strawberry. This isn't your Bonnie Bell Lip Smackers chapstick from your youth. And there's a really nice balance of the creaminess to it as well. The rice flour, hard to tell if it's just, power of suggestion, but there's a little bit of a dryness to it. Again, it's a lot of it is really just how you interpret and what you want to smell with any fragrance. So hard to say if I'd be getting that beyond just the berries and cream. If I were smelling this nose blind, it's a berries and cream. It is a strawberry and cream. So if you like mochi, but you don't like strawberries, not for you, because this is strawberry forward. If you like strawberry and you're neutral on mochi, but you want to give it a shot for a unique strawberry and love a true strawberries and cream, this would be for you. Less exciting than some of the other ones for me, but still nicely done. I like to see mochi maybe in another way as well, like a mochi with green tea. Put the mochi base with the matcha base without the strawberry in here, and I would be all over that. I will put in here just a clip of the burn performance. As I said, the burns on these have been consistently good to very good. The strength, the throw, the projection. Also, for a 4-ounce, small diameter wood wick candle, impressive. Just as good as many larger single wicks, maybe even some 3-wick candles, depending on the brand, depending on the fragrance. So I have no doubt that in the larger vessel, still a single wood wick, but the larger 8.5-ounce glass vessel, you would also get a stronger throw and projection on those. And I've been satisfied with all of the 6 that I've burned so far. Check out the wood wick in action here, and then we'll come back. See, it's one of those things where if you really enjoy the noise of the wood wick, you'll appreciate it. If you're one who doesn't really care or dislikes it, it's not so loud that you really would necessarily hear it unless you're right up close next to it. I had one on my desk. I could hear it puttering a little bit, but it wasn't even distracting. I hope you enjoyed the brand introduction and haul and post-burn candle overview of Emme Essentials 10 core collection of scents. I highly recommend checking them out on their website. If you're lucky enough to check out one of their pop-ups in New York City, check them out there as well. Really excited to see what they have coming throughout the fall and how their brand grows, because they're off to a really great start just 2 years in, and I'm excited to see where they go. Let me know if there's anything else you want to know more in depth on, other post-burn reviews from the ones I've not burned yet, or if you want that traditional in-depth sniff review on any of these, I'd be happy to bring those along. And until next time, take care.